Welcome, Tom.
Hello.
Just in time.
Just in time.
It's good to have you back. I love your smiling face to bring good energy.
Hey, great. Thank you.
Glad you're here to hear about all the things I've learned from dogs, or maybe just a few of them. My husband and I live with 3 dogs, and I'm not going to pass this around, but I just want to give you an idea of the size of these dogs. And you see, this is Ron on the beach with Natasha, Nell, and Maurice. They're about 9 inches high, and all 3 of them together weigh about 30 pounds. Later, if anyone wants to see more photographs, I have roughly 2,500. When we got the 2 new puppies this year, I really wanted to do a good job with this pair of dogs because I really put a lot into living with dogs over my life, and I thought that I had learned quite a lot. The first thing I learned with the puppies was that I had forgotten how much work it was to have puppies. And they really took me to town a few times, and I don't mean downtown, I mean they were in and on and around everything. I couldn't fold laundry, I couldn't do paperwork, I couldn't do anything without them being right in the midst of things. And I could not convince them for a long time that I needed to do a few things at least. I couldn't even sweep the floor because one of the dogs wanted to chase the broom. So it became a real challenge to deal with all of this. But they were really good dogs and really smart. They're Jack Russell Terriers or Russell Terriers, which is this shorter-legged variety. And they, not only are they incredibly intelligent, Tashi knows when she's tired of me looking at my iPad, she will turn the thing off. If I'm writing an email, she knows the little blue button, and she puts her little nose on the little blue button and says, "Okay, Mom, that's enough. Pay attention to me." So that's how smart they are, and they make a lot of decisions on their own without my permission. But they also are very good and listen when they think it's appropriate. My overall philosophy of training dogs is that you have to let them know how much you love them. You have to give them something to do. They have active minds, and they have a life too. They aren't a stuffed animal. They are a living being with a brain, and they need things to do. So you have to provide something for them to do the same way that you would with a child. Maybe not exactly the same things. They don't go to college, praise the Lord,
Yeah.
but you do have to keep them occupied and busy. You have to have some system to reward them when they do the things that you like. You have to get a lot of exercise. And exercise is not only physical exercise, but it's going out in the world and it's interacting with other people and other dogs. The more, the better. Dogs of all sizes, the bigger, great, the little ones, the little afraid ones, the little aggressive ones, the big galumping ones, the ones who are very reactive, the ones who are very calm. They need experience with all of those kinds of dogs. They need experience with all the equivalent types of people, including young children who maybe don't have much experience yet with dogs, and they need to be socialized with the dogs too, because dogs are in the human life, and so children need to be exposed to dogs as well as dogs are exposed to children. One of their experiences with a child was a 2-year-old grandchild of one of our neighbors, and we met on a walk one day, and the little boy was very eager to say hello to the puppy, and we got down and we got into the safe position so that nobody got hurt or scared. And at that point, the little 2-year-old, and anyone who's had a 2-year-old knows, he screamed at that piercing. He was so excited, and he screamed. And I thought, great, this is great. The dogs need the experience of having a 2-year-old scream in their ears and understanding that's not the end of the world. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's just a little child making a noise, and they're little dog children, and they make their own noises, and it's all okay, and it's okay to just stay calm and go on with life. If things don't go quite right when you're out, if you have a little encounter, there's a bloodhound in our neighborhood, for example, is very reactive, and the owner hasn't learned how to cope with it. He goes out walking late at night hoping no one else will be there. Well, we go out late at night too, and the dogs are encounter one another, and as they know that bloodhound is just, frothing because there are other dogs and people out, and so it's good because they get to experience how to calm themselves down even when there's a very reactive dog reacting to them. So I welcome all of this, and the more exposure they get, the better they get. Just like people, the more we do things like speak in public, the better we get. And what I've learned, I think, from this in general, is that people and dogs are meant to be in the world together. People invented dogs. They didn't invent wolves, but they took that genetic material and they shaped it into all of the various breeds of dogs and the mixed breed dogs as well. And dogs and humans are actually very compatible together. One of my favorite things to do is to go to Hendry's Beach, where it's the only place in town or a beach area where dogs are allowed to be off lead legally. Now they are in other areas. Some of the beaches, dogs aren't allowed at all, on or off lead. In some areas they're allowed on lead. But there's a section of Hendry's Beach to the left of the slough where dogs can be free. And this is heaven on earth, both for dogs and dog owners. A few things that I see there is people behaving the best that people can be. They are on their best behavior. They clean up after their dogs. There is not a speck anywhere of dog waste on that beach. It is perfectly clean. All of those people are very good in supervising their dogs. And the dogs, of course, learn from one another, just as people learn from one another. And all of the encounters that the dogs have in this lovely natural setting, they learn how to be better dogs. And I think the dogs that go there and the people that go there all become better. It could be a model for the world as far as I'm concerned. It's what happens on that beach. It really is a lovely thing. We don't want to blow this great thing that we have. And everybody works together, and it's a good experience. But of course, even in heaven, every once in a while, there's something that doesn't go quite right. And this Sunday, we were walking along. It was a lovely day. It was perfect. We'd walked about a mile. And we encountered a family. There was 2 men. I'm not sure just how it was all related. Even on the beach, you don't necessarily know who's dad, who's uncle, who's mom, who's... But there were 2 children who were about 3, a boy and a girl. And beautiful. I think they probably were twins. They looked a lot alike, and they were exactly the same height. The little girl was clinging to probably her father's knees. She was terrified. And I'm not sure exactly what she was terrified. She was just terrified to be on the beach. Maybe it was her first time on the beach. Maybe these were tourists. I don't know the details, but she was terrified. And I think maybe she was scared of dogs. The little boy, on the other hand, was full of energy and enthusiasm, and he was so excited to be on the beach, and he was so excited to see dogs. He was doing this with his hands, and 2 of my dogs completely ignored this, but one of them said, "Ooh, little boy doing this must want to play." And she approached him. Now, she in fact did not get to him because some other things happened. So she didn't actually make contact with this little boy in any way, nor was she aggressive in any way. She was just moving toward him. Our 12-year-old dog, who had already gone on a hike earlier that day, and now he was pretty much at the end of his 12-year-old rope. He galumps along, and he's kind of got a Buddha mentality anyway about everything. He came within, maybe 3 feet, just walking straight ahead, about 3 feet of the little girl, the scared little girl. And the man who was with her was afraid, too, apparently, of this dog. It was this dog. And he went like this toward the dog. He didn't make contact with Maurice because Maurice, this is what Maurice does. He sees a foot coming, well, and he just stepped out of the way and kept on. He didn't care. He didn't hold it against the God. He probably didn't even understand what on earth the God was doing with his foot. Didn't have anything to do with him, and he walked on. There were 2 men, and both of them were very upset. And one of them said to me, "It would really be a shame if one of these kids got bitten." And, well, I would have to agree, it would be a shame. And I thought, well, these are probably people who don't have any experience with dogs. They're probably people from out of town who don't know that they're walking on the dog beach where dogs are allowed to be free. And they don't know that part of the law on that beach is that children are to be closely supervised, and not small children are to be closely supervised. That's in the rule book. So I asked them if they wanted to have a safe encounter for their kids with the dogs. I said, "Our dogs are safe with kids, and would they like to pet the dog?" "Oh, no! Oh, my God, no!" It was if I had said, "Would your children like some poison? We have poison here, and we would like to give them some poison." And I thought, well, okay, even 100 years of experience was not going to solve this problem on the beach on this day, and we went this way and they went that way. But the moral of this story, I think, and there are 3 things that I learned from that particular encounter. One is, our thoughts, what we say and what we think, becomes who we are and what happens to us, and what we do, what happens to us. If you think your children are going to get bitten, probably it's going to happen. What's a good way to have that happen? One is taking responsibility. And one of them had said, "These kids don't know any better, they're just children." But a 3-year-old child is old enough to know to be calm around a dog, to not squeal, to not wave arms, to make contact with the dog in another way. And by taking the responsibility away from a child, that they were creating a situation where those kids were not going to be taking responsibility for their actions in the future. And if you don't take responsibility for your actions, you can run into people and dogs who will in fact bite you. And the third thing, and maybe even this is the most important thing, is that fear is not our friend. Fear does not help us get through these kinds of tough situations. When we're scared, it's a time to ask for help, to try to learn something from a situation and not react in a violent or upsetting way. I think these are important lessons. Fear is not a good thing. To take responsibility for your actions, and to remember that if you think something or say something, that's probably going to be the thing that happens. These are the things I learned from my dogs. Mr. Desmond.